What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, this is part 2 to the video that I made yesterday regarding a possible mega showdown between undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, now the reigning welterweight undisputed world champion, who is widely recognized as the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford is now 40 wins, no losses, no draws. He is 31 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8", with a 74-inch arm reach, and a possible showdown with 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is the undisputed super middleweight world champion and widely considered by many to be the face of the sport of boxing. Top 10 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world in Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez has a record of 59 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. He has 39 big wins by way of knockout. He is 33 years of age, 5'8", with a 70-inch arm reach. With that said, Canelo Alvarez has more knockouts than Terence Crawford has fights, right? He has more knockouts than Terence Crawford has fights. And it's a mega fight. He's a 4-division champion. He fights at 168 pounds now. Terence Crawford started his career now. Canelo Alvarez started his career at 147, okay? Terence Crawford started his career at 130 and became a champion at 135, 140, and 147, right? Terence Crawford now campaigns obviously at 147, but plans to move up to junior middleweight, okay, 154 pounds. And Terence Crawford is coming off the biggest win, the most lucrative win, the most devastating win of his career, as Terence Crawford defeated former unified 3-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, has dropped since the fight. Terence Crawford, and that's who Errol Spence, we're talking about Errol the True Spence Jr. Terence Crawford dominated Errol Spence Jr., who is now 28 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9.5", with a 72-inch arm reach. Ever since then, Terence Crawford has garnered a ton of momentum, okay? Terence Crawford is widely, as I said, recognized as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He has a rematch clause. He's obligated to give Errol Spence an immediate rematch. We don't know what's going to happen with the rematch. We don't know if the rematch is going to take place. We don't know when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen, as Showtime President Sports Steven Espinosa stated. And with that said, right, everybody want to know what's next for Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, he had his sights set on a mega showdown. Terence Crawford did. He had his sights set on a mega showdown with 3-time junior middleweight world champion, who is the undisputed junior middleweight world champion, and widely considered by many to be top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, in Jermell Ironman Charlo. Jermell Ironman Charlo is 35 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 19 wins by way of knockout. He is 33 years of age, 5'11.5", with a 73.5-inch arm reach. Terence Crawford wants to be a 3-division world champion, undisputed world champion, right? And he wanted to fight Jermell Charlo because Jermell Charlo is a close friend, training mate, and stable mate of Errol Spence. And there's a storyline, there's a built-in storyline and history between the two, right? And so with that said, that's a big fight. But Jermell Charlo's going to dare to be great, jump up to 168. And Terence Crawford recently stated that 154 was his limit. But now he's changed his mind. And he since said that he would fight Canelo Alvarez at a catch weight of 160, middleweight. Canelo Alvarez, he responded and he stated that 160 is not doable for him. He's far removed from fighting at 160. He's a 68-pounder. And that Terence Crawford would need to come up to 68. 60 is too too low for him. Terence Crawford would need to come up to 68, right? And so Terence Crawford got wind of that, and now Terence Crawford has stated that, he's willing to go up to 168 pounds and challenge Canelo Alvarez at 160, right? Canelo Alvarez recently stated he's in a lose-lose situation if he fights Terence Crawford because he's too small. He won't get no credit for fighting and beating Terence Crawford. He's just simply too small. And I made a video about it, and I said that he turns down the opportunity to fight Terence Crawford would be a mega fight. Terence Crawford was featured on Joe Rogan, which he said he's now willing to go up to 168, which is 3 weight classes, and challenge, Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is saying that it's a lose-lose situation. He don't want to take the fight. It's a lose-lose situation for him, right? He won't get no credit because everybody said, everybody's going to say that, Terence Crawford was too small for Canelo Alvarez, right? And I said, that's a cop-out now. It's a cop-out. Why is it a cop-out, Blue? Because it's the style matchup. Canelo Alvarez doesn't want to be embarrassed because Canelo Alvarez is essentially fighting a guy 3 weight classes below him, as I stated, in Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo fights at 154, never fought below it or above it. Canelo Alvarez has fought at 175. He's had 2 fights at 175. He's a world champion at 175. Canelo Alvarez is. So that's 21 pounds, right? 175 and 154. That's 3 weight classes. Okay? So essentially, he has fought he's fighting a guy who's 3 weight classes below him, right? In Jermell Charlo. But he's not willing to fight Terence Crawford because he says he's too small. Now, again, in stature, Jermell Charlo is 5'11 and a half with 73.5 inch arm reach. Terence Crawford is 5'8 with a 74 inch arm reach, but he's the same size as Canelo Alvarez. So, we have fighters like Sergey Kovalev fought Canelo Alvarez, who fought at 160, jumped up to 175 and challenged him. It wasn't a lose-lose situation for Sergey Kovalev. It wasn't a lose-lose situation for Dimitri Bivol. So why is it for Terence Crawford, for Canelo Alvarez? Because it's the style matchup. Terence Crawford has a style very similar to Canelo Alvarez showdown that he called for an extremely long time against legendary, now retired, Hall of Fame, iconic superstar, 5-division world champion, former pound-for-pound king, former pay-per-view king, Floyd Mayweather, who was 5'8 with a 72-inch arm reach. Floyd Mayweather fought at 147. Canelo was fighting at 154. Now, I understand it's a legacy fight. I understand Floyd Mayweather represented the payday and arguably the greatest fighter ever. But Terence Crawford, today's time, is considered the best fighter of this era, the best pound-for-pound fighter of this era, even over Canelo Alvarez. See, Canelo Alvarez, he fought against Floyd Mayweather, that style. He don't like the style matchup of himself and Terence Crawford because Terence Crawford could possibly use the style of Floyd Mayweather. He can box, he can move, he has power. He can switch from southpaw to orthodox. If Canelo Alvarez fights Terence Crawford and loses, it'll be an embarrassment. See, Canelo Alvarez is a competitor, right? The loss to Dimitri Bivol, he can't accept, but there's a built-in excuse that he was too small. Although he beat Sergey Kovalev, who was bigger than Dimitri Bivol, and won the title at 175, when he lost to Dimitri Bivol, there was a built-in excuse that he dared to be great. He already won the title at 175, but it was considered daring to be great, right? Okay. He loses to Terence Crawford. Like when he lost to Floyd Mayweather, there was another built-in excuse. The built-in excuse was that he was too green. Although he had 40 fights, he was 23 years of age. He had 5 title defenses and a unification bout. He was still considered to be too green. He wasn't ready, right? He wasn't ready. He was too green. Another built-in excuse. When he lost to Dimitri Bivol, he was too small. He was daring to be great. Another built-in excuse. He had a draw with Triple G. People said he actually won the fight, including myself. I thought he won the fight, that first fight that was considered a draw. I thought he won the fight. Nonetheless, it was considered a draw. He came back rectified. Again, a built-in excuse. If you lose to Terence Crawford, who's jumping up 3 weight classes, what's the built-in excuse? See, Terence Crawford is taller than him, or about the same height, has 4-inch arm. His arms, Terence Crawford arms even longer than Floyd Mayweather, 2 inches. Floyd Mayweather, 72-inch arms. Terence Crawford has a 74-inch arm reach. And Terence Crawford can switch from southpaw to orthodox. And Terence Crawford has 31 knockouts in 40 fights. Terence Crawford has only went the distance 3 times in almost the last 10 years. Since Terence Crawford become a world champion, he only went the distance. In 2014 against Ricky Burns, he's only went the distance 3 times. And one of those fights was Victor Postol, in whom he dropped 2 times in that fight. So you see, the built-in excuse is that Terence Crawford's style is a bad style matchup for Canelo Alvarez. I've been saying this. You could go back and check the archives. I've been saying that it's a bad matchup for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez don't like that style matchup, right? Because, let's be honest, he gets outboxed by Terence Crawford, who has power. We know Terence Crawford has power. And the manner in which Terence Crawford dominated Errol Spence, who's 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm. So he's slightly bigger. He's bigger than Canelo Alvarez. He's bigger than Canelo Alvarez. You understand? And Terence Crawford was physically stronger than Errol Spence Jr. He was physically stronger than Errol Spence Jr. And he dominated him and stopped him. I mean, he dropped him twice. He dropped him once in the 2nd round, twice in the 7th round, and then stopped him in the 9th round. So with that said, right, we know he got power. We know he could be, physical. We know he's crafty. We know he could box. We know he got, the ability to make adjustments. He could do many, many things in the ring. He's very, very versatile, right? And so since he's very, very versatile, and he can do many, many things in the ring, he can move, he's athletic, he's fast hands, right? That makes it a problem for Canelo Alvarez. That's why Canelo Alvarez don't want to take that fight. You understand? Because it's a bad style matchup for Canelo Alvarez. You understand? And it has nothing to do with size. It has everything to do with skill. See, skills pay the bills. And Terence Crawford has come to the realization. See, initially, Terence Crawford, he stated that, 154 was his weight limit. He wasn't going to go above 154 pounds. But now, Terence Crawford has decided that he can essentially campaign and fight and win and beat Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds. Right? So he could fight and beat Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds. So it has nothing to do with size. Because, see, we know that they were actually going to make a fight with Canelo Alvarez and Errol Spence Jr. They was talking about Errol Spence. He was offered a fight to fight Errol Spence at a catchweight of 164. So he was going to fight Errol Spence at a catchweight of 164, right? So why Terence Crawford dominates Errol Spence, then why is Terence Crawford too small for Canelo Alvarez? Because he don't want to get embarrassed. See, Errol Spence can't start his career at 154, then moved down to 47 and dominated that division. So he's considered a very big guy. Where you look at Terence Crawford started his career at 130, moved up to 35, 40, 47, seemed to be a much smaller guy. Like Floyd Mayweather. Same, 130. Now, Terence Crawford didn't become a champion at 130, but he did become a champion at 135. Style matchup. It's a bad style matchup, and Canelo Alvarez would be embarrassed. If you was going to fight Errol Spence at a catchweight of 164, and Terence Crawford just dominated Errol Spence, why wouldn't you be interested in fighting Terence Crawford coming up to 168? You don't want to get embarrassed. That's what it is. Pride. There's no built-in excuse. Canelo Alvarez loses to Terence Crawford. Plain and simple. So let's see how it unfolds and plays out. September 30th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. That's all I got for y'all, man. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LD B, C, the Lions Den boxing community. We really in the Lions Den. Shouts out to Black Media Row. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.